There's a question that comes to everyone at some point, usually in the quiet moments, when the day is done and the roles are dropped and you're just there, alone with yourself. The question is simple and impossible at the same time. Who am I? Not what do I do, not what role do I play, not who people think I am, but who am I really? Underneath everything, beneath all the masks and performances and carefully constructed presentations. Someone posted online, "Does my social media page reflect who I am in real life? Is my page expressive of me? Who am I?" And they said it makes them feel claustrophobic in their own skin. They dissociate as they view this version of themselves online and compare it to themselves in real life. That feeling of not recognizing yourself, of looking at the life you've built, the persona you present, and wondering if any of it is actually you. The philosophers have been asking, "Who am I?" for thousands of years. It's one of those questions that seems simple until you actually try to answer it. Then it unravels into 1,000 other questions. Am I my body? But every cell in my body replaces itself over time. In 7 years, I'm physically not the same person I was. So if I'm my body, which body? The one I had at 5 years old? The one I have now? The one I'll have when I'm 80? Am I my memories? John Locke thought so. He said, personal identity is self-consciousness, the ability to reflect on yourself and remember your past. You are the same person because you remember being that person. But what if you forget? There's a thought experiment. A soldier who was flogged as a boy, then captured a flag in battle, then became a general. As an old man, he remembers capturing the flag and becoming a general, but he's completely forgotten being flogged as a child. Is he still the same person? If you can't remember something that happened to you, does that mean it didn't happen to you? The philosopher David Hume took this further. He said when he looked inside himself, he could never find a self, just a bundle of perceptions, thoughts, feelings, sensations, but no central I that's having them, just perceptions happening, no self at all. Maybe, he suggested, the self is an illusion. Someone on a philosophy forum wrote, "I am the fourth of 6 children my parents had, and this is who I am aware of being." But what makes someone suddenly become aware of being one precise person? Why am I occupying this body and not another? Why am I me and not you? There's a strangeness to consciousness, isn't there? Out of all the possible perspectives in the universe, you happen to be experiencing this one, behind these eyes, in this body, with these thoughts. Why? What makes you you? And who is that you, anyway? Carl Jung, the psychologist, had a term for the social face we present to the world. He called it the persona. The word comes from the masks actors wore in ancient Greek theater. A mask that covers the real face, a role that covers the real self. The persona is not false exactly. It's the part of us that adapts to society. The professional mask we wear at work, the family mask we wear at home, the friend mask, the parent mask, the partner mask. We're constantly switching between personas depending on who we're with and what the situation demands. And that's fine, that's necessary. The persona helps us navigate society, meet expectations, function in different contexts. The problem comes when we forget we're wearing a mask, when we identify so completely with the role that we lose touch with whoever's underneath it. Jung said, it's impossible to become your true self as long as you're performing for the persona, as long as you're convinced that the mask is your face. Someone wrote about their social media identity crisis. They spend an hour a day on Instagram and they get major anxiety, not about aesthetics or looking perfect, but about whether their page reflects who they really are. Who am I? They ask. These are the thoughts running through my head. We create these carefully curated versions of ourselves online. We post the good moments, the achievements, the carefully filtered photos. We craft a narrative of who we want people to think we are, and then we look at what we've created and wonder, is this me? Or is this just another mask? And if it's a mask, then who's wearing it? College students especially feel this. One person wrote about how people end up shaping their identity around fabricated posts, which inevitably leads to disappointment. They spend so much time thinking about who they're becoming that they start to see their self-identity as something they can change, something they can curate, something they can edit like a photo. But you can't edit yourself, not really. Underneath all the editing, someone's still there. The question is, do you know who that is? A young woman described how she and her friend spent a semester abroad creating social media magic, selfies in Paris clubs, group pictures in front of the Eiffel Tower. But behind the scenes, they were lonely and lost, crying themselves to sleep. We were lonely and lost, but at least everyone will think it was great, they said. I constantly felt pressure to prove my Paris experience was even better than everyone else's. And then her friend took her own life. And everyone was shocked because according to her Instagram posts and Snapchats, she was always smiling. The mask conceals. Sometimes it conceals too much, sometimes even from ourselves. Are you the same person at work as you are at home? If not, which one is real? Or are both performances? And if both are performances, then who's performing? Jung said the persona is a mask of the collective unconscious. It's not even personally yours. It's a role assigned by society. We think we're individuals, but we're just acting roles through which the collective speaks. The good employee, the good parent, the good friend, the successful person, the happy person. We step into these pre-existing roles and perform them, and somewhere along the way, we forget that's what we're doing. Someone wrote, "It seems that I am nothing at all. I don't exist." The I-ness is an illusion created by the brain's consciousness. Maybe that's true. Maybe the self is just a story we tell, a narrative we construct to make sense of the chaos of experience. You string together memories and beliefs and values and experiences and call it me. But it's not a thing, it's just a story. And you can tell different stories. That's what multiple personas do. They tell different stories depending on the audience. At work, you tell the story of the competent professional. At home, you tell the story of the loving family member. Online, you tell the story of the person you wish you were. But which story is true? Which one is you? Or are all of them you? Are you all these different versions at once? Do you contain multitudes, as Walt Whitman said? Someone wrote about wearing different masks. We slip into different roles: colleague, friend, spouse, parent, each requiring a slightly altered version of ourselves. The ability to adapt is a survival skill. But at what cost? The cost is coherence. The cost is knowing yourself. When you're a different person in every context, when you're constantly shifting and adapting and performing, you lose the thread of who you actually are. You become fragments, pieces, different selves for different situations. And in the quiet moments, when you're alone with yourself, you feel the dissonance, the claustrophobia, the sense that you're trapped behind masks you can't take off because you've forgotten what your face looks like underneath. One person described it as identity whiplash, living out of sync with your true self. And the exhausting part? You have to remember which mask to wear in which situation. You have to track all the different versions of yourself. Make sure they don't contradict each other. Make sure nobody sees the gaps between them. Based on a 40-hour work week and a work life from 20 to 65, you spend 90,360 hours working. What a huge period to spend wearing a mask if that's truly what you're doing. But what's the alternative? To be completely authentic all the time? To have no social filter, no adaptation, no personas at all? Jung said that's not healthy either. That's the other extreme, complete absence of a persona. You become withdrawn from society entirely, unable to function in social situations, unable to meet any expectations or fulfill any roles. The healthy path, Jung said, is restoration, where the persona becomes a true reflection of our inner individuality and our outward sense of self, where you can consciously wear a mask grounded in authenticity without identifying with it, where you know it's a mask and you wear it when necessary but never forget who's beneath it. But that requires knowing who's beneath it, and that's the hard part. Who are you when you're not performing? Who are you when all the roles fall away? Who are you in the space between the masks? The Eastern philosophies have a different take. In Vedanta and Shaivism, there's only one consciousness experiencing all the different egos. We're all one. The same driver driving all the cars, just separated by the illusion of individuality. Your sense of being a separate self is Maya, illusion. Beneath all the personas, beneath even your individual consciousness, there's just pure awareness, pure being. No separate self at all. That's a radical idea, that the you think you are doesn't really exist, that individuality itself is a kind of mask, that underneath all of it, there's just consciousness, undifferentiated, universal, the same in everyone. But even if that's true, even if at the deepest level there's no separate self, we still experience life as individuals. We still have to navigate the world as this particular person with this particular history and these particular circumstances. So the question remains, who is this particular person? Who am I in this life, in this body, with this consciousness? Someone wrote, "I often get lost in thought about who I am. Sometimes I feel like I'm multiple people at once. Other times I feel like I'm nobody at all." Multiple people at once and nobody at all. That captures it perfectly, doesn't it? You're whoever the situation requires, and you're also somehow empty. All these different versions of you, and none of them feel completely real. The psychologist Donald Winnicott talked about the false self, a protective, compliant personality that develops in childhood to shield the true self from an environment that isn't consistently supportive. You learn early on that being yourself isn't safe or acceptable, so you create a false self to navigate the world. You perform being the person others want you to be. And over time, that false self becomes so developed, so elaborate, so convincing that you start to believe it's real. You forget it was ever a performance. You've been acting for so long that you've forgotten you're acting. And the true self? It's buried underneath, waiting, protected, hidden, maybe forgotten entirely. One person wrote about how they developed different identities on different social media platforms. On Instagram, they're one person. On Twitter, another. On LinkedIn, another still. Different profiles presenting different versions of who they are. Which one is real? All of them? None of them. They said college students are especially prone to identity crises because they focus so much on who they're becoming. They're in that phase of life where identity is supposed to solidify, where you're supposed to figure out who you are. But instead of discovering a self, they're constructing one, curating one, performing one. And when you're constructing your identity based on what gets likes, what gets approval, what fits the expectations, you end up losing yourself entirely. You shape your identity around what other people want to see, and then you wonder why you feel empty. The key question isn't, who do people think I am? The key question is, who am I when nobody's watching? But even that's tricky, because even when you're alone, you might still be performing for an internalized audience, performing for the version of yourself you want to be, performing for some imagined judge evaluating your life. Is there ever a moment when you're not performing? When you're just being? Maybe in sleep? Maybe in those moments between waking and sleeping when you haven't yet remembered who you're supposed to be? Maybe in extreme situations, pain, pleasure, crisis, when the masks drop because there's no energy left to maintain them. One person wrote, "When you are all alone with no audience in your survival mode, your true human self always reveals itself in all its humility, integrity, and innocence. No superficial bravados, no artificial confidence, no artificial positivity, no fake smiles, no persona, just an authentic presence." Maybe crisis reveals us. Maybe suffering strips away the personas and shows what's underneath. Not in a romantic way, just in the sense that when you're truly struggling, you don't have the luxury of performing anymore. You just are, whatever that is. But most of our lives aren't crisis. Most of our lives are the everyday navigation of social situations, expectations, roles. And in that everyday existence, we wear masks, we play parts, we perform versions of ourselves. And the exhausting question underneath it all, which version, if any, is real? Maybe they're all real. Maybe you're not one fixed thing, but a dynamic process, a constant becoming, different in different contexts, different in different relationships, different at different times of your life. And that's not fraud, that's just complexity. You contain multitudes. You're not consistent because life isn't consistent. You adapt because adaptation is survival. But there's still something unsettling about it. Because if you're different with everyone, then nobody knows the real you, not even you. And that creates profound loneliness, because to be truly known, someone has to see beneath the masks, and you have to be willing to take them off. And that's terrifying. One person wrote, "Why do we wear masks? To protect ourselves from judgment, rejection, or emotional pain. To fit in, because society rewards people who play their role well. To avoid confrontation, because showing our true feelings can sometimes lead to uncomfortable conversations. So we protect ourselves by hiding. And the hiding keeps us safe, but it also keeps us alone, unknown, disconnected. The greatest moments of connection in life, the times you feel truly seen, are when someone sees past the persona. When you drop the mask, even briefly, and they don't recoil. They stay, they see you, and they accept what they see. That's rare and precious and terrifying to risk. Because what if you show yourself and they don't accept it? What if the real you, whoever that is, isn't acceptable, isn't lovable, isn't enough? So you keep the mask on. You perform the acceptable version. And you wonder if anyone will ever really know you, or if you'll ever really know yourself. The question, who am I, doesn't have a simple answer. Maybe it doesn't have an answer at all. Maybe you're not a fixed thing to be discovered, but a process to be experienced. Maybe identity is something you create rather than something you find. But even if that's true, even if there's still a difference between consciously creating yourself and unconsciously performing whatever role seems safest, there's a difference between adaptation and complete loss of self. Jung's goal was individuation, the process of integrating all aspects of yourself, conscious and unconscious, persona and shadow, individual and collective, into a whole. Not discovering who you are, but becoming who you are, fully, consciously, authentically. But how? How do you become yourself when you're not sure who that is? When you've been performing for so long that you've forgotten what's real? Maybe you start by noticing. Noticing when you're performing. Noticing when you're wearing a mask. Not judging it, not trying to stop it immediately, just noticing. Becoming aware. Which situations trigger which personas? Who are you at work versus at home? What parts of yourself do you hide and why? What are you afraid will happen if you show them? And in the noticing, maybe something shifts. Maybe you start to distinguish between the role and the person playing it, between the mask and the face beneath. It won't happen all at once. Identity isn't something you solve, it's something you negotiate, constantly, throughout your entire life. You're not the same person you were 10 years ago. You won't be the same person 10 years from now. And that's okay. That's not failure. That's life. That's growth. That's change. The question isn't, who am I, in some fixed, permanent sense. The question is, who am I becoming? And am I becoming it consciously or unconsciously? And is it in alignment with something I can call authentic? Someone posted, "I'm a book." Not literally, but this is the metaphor. I am a particular self. What makes a self particular? Its story, the events and objects surrounding it, and its actions on, reactions to, and perceptions of them. You are you because you have lived your life, and I am me because I have lived mine. Maybe that's it. Maybe identity is narrative, the story you tell about your life, the story that connects the child you were to the adult you are to the person you're becoming, the thread that runs through all the changes and makes them coherent. And maybe authenticity is about being the author of that story, rather than letting others write it for you. Being conscious of the narrative, rather than unconsciously following the script society handed you. But even then, are you the author or are you the character? Are you writing the story or living it? Are you creating your identity or discovering it? Maybe both. Maybe neither. Maybe the distinction doesn't matter. What matters is this. In the quiet moments, when you're alone with yourself, do you feel like yourself, or do you feel like you're still performing, still wearing a mask even when there's no audience? Do you know who you are? Not what you do, not what role you play, but who you are underneath it all. Or have you been performing for so long that underneath has become empty, that there's nothing there except the masks themselves? If that's true, then maybe the work is rebuilding, reclaiming, remembering, finding your way back to whatever's authentic in you, whatever existed before you learned to perform, whatever remains when all the roles fall away. A child knows who they are. Before socialization, before expectations, before the need to fit in, a child is just themselves. unself-conscious, unfiltered, present. And then life happens, and you learn that being yourself isn't always safe or acceptable. You learn to adapt, to perform, to wear masks. And maybe you can never fully get back to that childlike authenticity. Maybe you can't unlearn everything you've learned. Maybe some masks become permanent. But maybe you can find a new kind of authenticity, an adult authenticity, where you're aware of the masks and you wear them consciously, but you know they're masks, where you can take them off when you're safe, where there are people who see you without them, where you see yourself without them, where the question, "Who am I?" doesn't create panic and anxiety, but curiosity and compassion. You're whoever you are in this moment, reading or hearing these words, thinking these thoughts, feeling whatever you're feeling. That's you, right now, in this moment. Not the you from 10 years ago, not the you from tomorrow, not the you other people think you are, just this consciousness, this experience, this particular arrangement of awareness and sensation and thought. That's as close to you as you can get. Everything else is story, memory, projection, performance, persona. But this moment of being aware that you're aware is real. This is you, whoever that is. And maybe that's enough. Maybe you don't need a fixed, permanent answer to, "Who am I?" Maybe you just need to keep asking, keep noticing, keep becoming. You're the question itself, the ongoing inquiry, the constant process of discovering yourself even as you're creating yourself. You're whoever you are between the masks, in the space where the personas fall away and something more fundamental remains. Not nothing, not an illusion, but something real, something authentic, something that exists whether or not anyone else sees it or knows it or validates it. You. Beneath all the roles you play, beneath all the faces you show, beneath all the stories you tell, you're there, somewhere, waiting to be found, or remembered, or created, or simply noticed. Who are you, really? Maybe the answer changes every time you ask. Maybe that's the point. You're the one asking the question, the one wondering, the one searching. And maybe that's all the answer you need, for now, in this moment, in this life. You're the mystery contemplating itself, the awareness aware of awareness, the consciousness questioning consciousness. And in the questioning, in the wondering, in the searching, maybe that's where you find yourself. Not in the answers, but in the asking. Who am I? You're the one who wants to know. And that's enough. That's real. That's you. Right here, right now. In this moment of recognizing that you don't fully know yourself, and maybe never will. But you're here anyway, existing, experiencing, being, whatever that means, whoever you are. Beneath all the masks, beneath all the roles, beneath everything, you're there, somewhere. And maybe that's all that matters. Not knowing who you are, but being it anyway. Just being you.